Good evening. My name is Perrice Austin, and I am the Fatherhood Initiative and Youth Mentoring Chair for the Pi Omega chapter of Omega Psi Phi. I have three of my committee members with me tonight, and I will let them introduce themselves. Jeff?
My name is Jeffrey Shorter. I'm the co-chair of Pi Omega's Fatherhood and Youth Mentoring Program and Initiative. My next colleague, he'll introduce himself as well.
My name is Mark Anthony Montgomery. I am the pastor of the Historic Union Baptist Church. I am a member of Pi Omega, and I am the director and chair of the Keystone Project. And we work in tandem with the Fatherhood Initiative and the Mentoring Project program.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. So tonight, we're going to discuss some of the great work that we're doing here in Baltimore City at Pi Omega. And I'm really excited to be here. Excited for my team to be here as well. So we're going to let you know a little bit about us and what we're doing to help make Baltimore a better place by encouraging and influencing our youth. A little bit about me: graduated from Savannah State University with a degree in communications, public relations, and advertising concentration, and have a background in political and labor union organizing as well as community organizing.
Jeff Shorter, I graduated from the Coppin State University, one of the most prestigious HBCUs in the country. I'm a retired police commander with Baltimore Police Department with nearly 30 years of service. And upon retirement, I was the chief of the community relations section. My goal and my passion is children, youth mentoring, because people talk about the children are our future, but if we don't work on them now, there will be no future.
Again, I am Mark Anthony Montgomery. I currently serve as the spiritual leader of the Historic Union Baptist Church, the second oldest Black Baptist church built by Black people for Black people in 1852 in the historic West Baltimore, Druid Hill, Upton area over by Pennsylvania Avenue. I am a graduate of the historic Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, where I received my bachelor's of science in religious studies and economics. And then I graduated with my master's degree from the historic Virginia Union University. And so I'm a pro HBCU. As I said, I serve as the pastor of Union Baptist Church. I'm also the founder and director of the Keystone Project. The Keystone Project is a community stakeholders initiative where we bring together what we deem to be the Holy Trinity, Sacred Trinity of K to 12 institutions, research institutions, and faith institutions. We believe that amongst these three, when they come together, there is no problem that cannot be solved. Also, I am an initiative. I was initiated through the side chapter of Morehouse College, but I'm currently now active in the Pi Omega chapter, the historic Pi Omega chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, in which my father and my brother, which is Jeff and Paris's line brother, is a member of. And so I'm excited to re-engage this work. I've been doing work with Pi Omega off and on for the past decade. So I'm excited to continue this work for our youth, for our city, and our community.
Good stuff. Appreciate that, Mark. So just using that as a segue, because this is very conversational and organic. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the youth mentoring program, because the Fatherhood Initiative is relatively new, right? But one of the things that I have researched, and Mark, I definitely would like for you to chime in, as well as you, Jeff, because you all have been doing the work in the city as well. The Fatherhood Initiative, even though it's a relatively new internationally mandated program by name, but its inception is in the Pi Omega chapter. And on November 14th through the 20th in 1927, Pi Omega had their first Achievement Week. It was launched. And in that, youth mentoring life skills, teaching youth trades, and sound decision making and scholarship has been paramount. On June 4th, 1927, Pi Omega gave away its first scholarship to a gentleman by the name of Elroy Griffin, a student at Morgan College at the time. We would be remiss if we didn't say that the credit goes to the late brother Linwood G. Koger. His vision and his energy for the Achievement Week, which is the genesis of our fatherhood, of our fraternity's fatherhood initiative and youth program, has set precedent. As a phase of the national program, the Omega Psi Phi fraternity initiated a celebration of African American History Week, which was originally known as Negro History Week, Negro History and Literature Week, and out of respect for the late brother Carter G. Woodson, they changed it to Negro History Month. Right. So, in addition, Pi Omega also has been on the precipice of scholarship and influencing youth. And with the essay contest, one of the very first essay contests, a $100 prize was offered to an undergraduate for the best essay, and an essay that discussed the achievement of African Americans. And a $50 prize was offered originally for the high school student that had the best essay. So Achievement Week and youth mentoring has been organic throughout Omega's history, as well as Pi Omega's history. Mark, Jeff, being native Baltimoreans, can you talk a little bit about some of the actions and some of the experiences that you've had with the chapter as a youth with the mentoring side of the fraternity?
Pi Omega has, I'm sorry, Pi Omega has partnered with Omega Baltimore, which is a 501(c) that's run by Pi Omega members. They operate out of a center called Easterwood Recreation Center, which was reopened in 2012, that was closed for many years. Me growing up in West Baltimore, I remember, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, playing at Easterwood Rec Center. So Easterwood is a staple center throughout Baltimore, especially West Baltimore. I can't really talk too much about East Baltimore as a youth, but as an adult, I can. Easterwood was formerly closed, but now it's open, offers multiple programs to address the needs of the youth in West Baltimore and those who can travel citywide. They have several programs at Easterwood: youth development, fitness and nutrition, mentoring and life skills, college readiness, and the program called Q-STEM. Also, with the partnership through Baltimore City Recs and Parks and grassroots organizations throughout Baltimore City, there's a yearly flag football and basketball league that's supported by Maryland State Senators, the Mayor and City Council of Baltimore, and various organizations, including the media. While we were going through our process with Omega, me and my line brothers, we volunteered many, many, many weekends to assist in the flag and basketball leagues. In addition, they provide youth volunteer hours, and as such, me and my line brothers have allowed or partnered with some youth organizations for our yearly toy drive and toy distribution, where the youth were able to get volunteer hours. Also through Pi Omega, we've partnered. We did a program, the Infuse, the Brother You in My Mind program, and the intent of that was to get the brothers mental health addressed, if there were any, and assist the brotherhood with their well-being and readiness for interaction with the youth enrolled in our fatherhood initiative.
Jeff, I think that was a really good program. One of the things that gets overlooked a lot of times is the mental health aspect with our youth as well, because Frederick Douglass said it's easier to repair broken children than it is to repair broken men. I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's one of the things that your program really brought to the forefront and directly at the feet of the brotherhood, was that we have to have safe spaces, and for us as men to be able to discuss things. And I think part of that is, one, understanding it within ourselves, being honest and being vulnerable enough to do the healing, to do the shadow work, to do the healing within ourselves, so that we can be able to help these young men that we are engaging to be able to share some of that information and that light and love on them as well, because some of them are in some dark places and they don't know how to, they may not know how to communicate because they're falsehoods of what manhood is, right? Men don't cry. Men do this, men do that. And there's certain things that we do, but some of those things that are self-destructive can be very detrimental to them as they grow, and especially being pubescent males or in their formative years where they're very impressionable. Brother Mark, can you talk a little bit about some of your experiences with consulting some of your
Well, I'm gonna give you
folks?
the whole chasm of experience. So I'm a legacy of Pi Omega. My father, Dave Montgomery, who's a former deputy director of public works in Baltimore City,
Mhm.
was initiated in Pi Omega in 1984, as he was a city executive at the time. Well, he was becoming a city executive at the time. His dean was Walter Ampray, who
Mm.
eventually became the superintendent of Baltimore City Public Schools. And so, my understanding of the history and impact of Pi Omega being founded in 1921, just what, 30 to 40 miles away from DC, 10 years after the fraternity was founded, history
Right,
shows you that the founders spent a lot of time in Baltimore, which
right,
kind of goes hand in hand with the prominence of Pi Omega. Also, you got to consider that the NAACP, Associated Black Charities, all these organizations are founded in this DMV corridor, really impacted in Baltimore. So the prominence of Pi Omega lends itself to that, especially in its connection to Morgan College, which eventually became Morgan State University, which was founded around the corner from my church. My church founded Bowie State, and then the United Methodist Church around the corner from my church founded Morgan State. And so when you look
mhm,
at the history of Black Baltimore, Pi Omega, men of Pi Omega have always played a crucial role. Perrice, you talked about the founding of Omega Achievement Week. It's founded 1 year after our fraternity brother, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, founds National Negro Achievement Week. So
mhm.
Omega Achievement Week is literally founded 1 year after what we now know as Black History Month was founded 1 year after, because Carter G. Woodson is a member of the fraternity. And so for
Right,
Pi Omega to initiate the kind of the mentoring initiative and the fatherhood initiative, it kind of shows you the prominence and impact of Pi Omega.
right,
And if you
right. And
look at
how
the
forward
history,
thinking they were. Mhm.
if you look at the history of the men that have come through Pi Omega, you'll see the impact. And so when you mentioned 2012, I graduated from Morehouse in 2011. My partner Terrence King was initiated through Pi Omega in 2012. So the summer of 2012, I had my nonprofit and my business running programs through Omega Baltimore in Easterwood. That was 12 years ago. Mind you, I'm only 35. And so I had a summer program running, mentoring program. Terrace was running the center. There was an agricultural program. This is immediately after Omega Baltimore gained access to Easterwood. And so you just see the intersectionality of the impact of Pi Omega in that community, connected to Matthew Henson, Carver Vocational Technical High School. And so they're a huge stakeholder in the Bentlow area, which is a historic area if you know anything about a historic middle class area in West Baltimore. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity to reconvene with Pi Omega, because there aren't too many areas in Baltimore where their tentacles don't reach. Like full transparency, as a kid, I didn't realize many of my friends' fathers were initiates and members of Pi Omega. Prime example, I played football at Woodlawn Rec, and the chair or the president of the organization, the late Mr. Charles Elliott, was the president of the organization. The vice president's brother was my father's line brother. Joe Embry was one of my teammates' father. And so you just see the tentacles of Pi Omega and the impact on youth all throughout the city.
Right. One of the things that's really interesting as well is that in the early 80s, brother the was appointed the chair of the Social Action Committee. And Brother Dwayne White was asked to be his vice chair, and he accepted. And so under their leadership, Mayor Schaefer had an Adopt a School project. And with all of that moving, Pi Omega adopted Matthew Henson Elementary as their school, and that relationship continues to this day. So I think it's important to note that the Social Action Committee in the 80s of Pi Omega was leading the charge for the youth mentoring and fatherhood initiative. So I just thought that was just something that's very unique, and that was a caveat because now that we have a fatherhood initiative mandated program, we can see that the work has been done, it's been in effect just without that title. So for me, it's something that's already been happening. It's organic. So we're definitely we're on the shoulders of those brothers that came before us.
Perrice, it has to be noted, right? And most people don't know this, that the Honorable the Minister Louis Farrakhan
Mm-hmm.
was given an honorary status, but it's noted that he was seeking to be an initiative of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. But in 1996, it was a very, very pivotal time in Black communities when you saw after 1996, which was 1995, which was the Million Man March, you saw more Black coaches in rec leagues and mentoring organizations rise. And I do believe that there is a relationship between the impact of Black men and fathers in the city of Baltimore as football coaches. Many of my little league coaches were Omegas connected to Pi Omega, and you just see the impact of the brothers from the 80s and the 90s on the impact of mentoring in youth in Baltimore.
And being a native Washingtonian myself, I know you don't. I know you always shake your head when I say this. I say Baltimore and DC are twin cities, fraternal twins, but twins. I mean, I've been coming here all my life. I have family in East Baltimore. My godfather used to stay over in East Baltimore, and so I've been coming here all my life. It is home in a sense, and it is home now. I mean, I'm raising my family here, so. But growing up in DC, one of the things that I realized as I came into the fold, Omega had been in my life ever since I was a youth, and growing up on Georgia Avenue, on the Georgia Avenue corridor, going to Howard University for certain youth programs that my parents wanted me engaged in. I was around the fraternity as a youth, but did not know it until later on. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the frat and youth. Like, I was being mentored by members of the fraternity, unbeknownst to me then, but the impact that they made, it was very powerful and dynamic. And I think that now, as I sit here as a father, as working with you brothers in the community, I understand. I think we understand the gravity and of our obligation, our duty as men, as fathers of this fraternity and of the people, to be able to spread some of that love and that light to the youth. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the Brother You're on My Mind piece. Jeff, you had brought that up, and I kind of touched on it a little bit. But the mental health piece is so crucial, because we do see some of our youth using drugs, abusing drugs, and how that's being glorified. And that's not something that just happened, right? We know that's been happening, especially throughout the music and pop culture for years, even in our heyday, right? But you see it even more so now. The drugs and those some of those things come from they come from different places, and they can come from dark places. And I think that that's also something that we are incorporating, that Pi Omega is incorporating into our youth mentoring piece, to be able to address that drug and alcohol abuse and some of the promiscuity that is being perpetuated through the canals of the media to mislead some of our youth, right? When I was growing up, we had Just Say No. I remember that Nancy Reagan, Just Say No. It was a green sign with white letters. Can you talk a little bit about that, Jeff? Just a little bit about that mental health piece.
So working with the police department, we created a mental health and reentry program within the police department. So through NAMI and different organizations, I was introduced into mental health. So I understand how a lot of young men, a lot of young women suffer trauma, right? And as a result, when you grow up with that trauma, many times it's not addressed. And as you get older, you really don't realize the trauma that you face. So it was important to me to bring the brotherhood together in a safe space to talk about the trauma that we may have experienced, or probably as youth, right? Because as men, you talk, like you said earlier, to hold it in, don't hug, don't cry, don't talk about the pain that you've suffered, right?
Yeah.
But then you through touch, right? I believe touch is important. So you touch a young man, right? And the energy that you transfer to that young man, it may be danger to him, who he's never experienced that trauma, or you both experience it the same, and you reignite that trauma in him. So then he goes through whatever methodologies that he has to deal with that trauma. It may be acting out, it may be selling drugs, it may be using drugs, it may be fighting, it may be flighting, right? But we needed to address that before we even engage with these young men. And the brotherhood that showed up that day got to see a side of each other that probably you never would have seen again. And a spinoff of that was a brother from Theta Mu in Baltimore County. He showed up and he did an additional Brother You in My Mind program for the brothers in Baltimore County. So we're looking to partner with different organizations, but we first got to get our mind right before we even deal with these young men. And I don't know how many fatherhood or mentoring programs across the country are neglecting to deal with the mental health of our fraternity brothers before we deal with these young kids. And that's really, really important. One of the programs that I went through with NAMI was called Voices, where you put earphones on and you had to read a paragraph. And it's like a 2-minute paragraph. While you're reading a paragraph, voices came through the headphones telling you to kill yourself, slap your partner, do just all kind of nefarious things.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, right, it taught you about schizophrenia. So sometimes some of the stuff that these youth go through and the signs and symptoms that they have are schizophrenic. And the DSM-5 gives a whole host of diagnosed problems of people with mental health issues. So it was very important to me before we even kicked this off to do that.
Right. No, I would be remiss if I did not mention, thank you for that, Brother Jeff. I would be remiss if I did not mention some of the great work that Brother Ryan Robinson, who's initiated in the New Psi chapter of Omega Psi Phi, but is now a member of the Pi Omega chapter, has done with the cotillion in the past. That was a citywide effort, did great work, and continues to do great work. So I just want to give that brother his flowers. Tell them thank you. Keep up the good work. Yes, sir.
Jeff, you hit on something really important. And a lot of times, people who hold positions and careers that help other people don't always do the work on themselves. But even in the Bible, and we are a Christian organization, it's a story about the woman with the issue of blood who gets her healing, but the little girl, Jairus' daughter, dies. And inside of us, there's always a child or something immature that needs healing. And if we're not careful, the adult in us will get healed, but the child in us will die, ultimately leading to death of who we are and never being able to fully mature.
You could say that prayer, bro. Say that prayer for pastors at the end. That was all right.
Yeah.
So, Perrice, you want to hit on what we doing now?
Yes, I
Like 3
yes, I
minutes.
appreciate that, Mark. That was definitely profound, brother. So, just want to go over a little bit. Our primary goal is to provide African American youth with the confidence and social tools that they need to approach many distractions that may affect their ability to achieve personal and academic goals. Our participants will be assigned mentors and who will be liaisons to support a network to assist them with their immediate aspirations, short, mid, and long-term goals. So currently, the Pi Omega chapter is has an agreement with Midtown Academy, and we have an event right now called every third Thursday called Lunch with the Qs. That's part of our youth mentoring facet. We go in and we literally we have lunch. We have lunch with the youth, listen to them, talk with them, and we build that relationship, just very organic, nothing transactional. The staff is very, very supportive there, and as we move forward, we have our fatherhood initiative facet of the Fatherhood Initiative and Youth Mentoring Program. And that is to engage the youth with their fathers or their father figures in the home. We actually have an event coming up next week where we will be doing an event with the school with the youth and their fathers. So it's a spin-off from the Daddy with Donuts. So it's actually going to be a celebration, a celebratory event where the fathers and the male figures in these youth's homes will be honored. And so that's coming up next week. Also, we have every third Thursday lunch with the Qs, and the other piece is we're in the process of working with being able to do something interactive outside of the school with the kids and their fathers. We're looking at the local universities. We have several here. As far as getting tickets, going to basketball games and lacrosse games and some baseball games. And so we have some things in the works. We're moving slow, slow wins the race, but being intentional in what we're doing. And that's one of the, those are some of the good things that we're doing with Midtown.
So if you wanted to talk about Midtown as a charter school, so you have the public, private, and parochial schools in Baltimore, and Midtown as a charter school. One of the many charters in Baltimore City where it's like a community setting. Mark, you're in education. If you wanted to touch on that real quick, but we got partnered with Midtown through GEMS, which is Girls Expecting More Success, which is a program that allowed us to distribute 500 coats over the Christmas break for youth within 15 to 20 city high school and middle schools.
Yeah, and so being the director of Keystone, we'll be partnering, and I'll be attending the lunch with the Qs, and we'll be able to do some research with the young men and the young men at Midtown Academy, getting them outside and letting them study the weather, let them study some of the other things, hands-on approach, getting them into nature. And so it's just a great opportunity to kind of do mentoring and life skills through hands-on experience. And it's my hope to participate in the definitely the Morgan and Coppin game. I believe the young men will benefit from seeing that energy of the brothers at these two historic institutions. My high school coach was a Morgan grad and a member of Pi Omega.
Okay. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to join us next Tuesday on Facebook at 8 p.m. for Q's on the Move. Thank you, Brother Jeff, Brother Mark. Have a good night.
Rudy.